we're going to have a really special panel today for you guys. So you guys can get to answer, and students share your best practices so far with the Learning Center. And also be able to ask, we have on our panel one of our English tutors, Miss Jillian Bravens, who's probably some of you guys tutors for English. And I'm so excited she can be with us today.
Actually, Jillian is a content tutor.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah, which is fine, but she's a content tutor, so she'll be speaking from that perspective as well.
All right.
Good, okay. So definitely, and being able to tell us the difference between the two, right? And when you're signing up for regular English tutoring, what that looks like. So whatever questions you guys have about the difference between content and English tutoring, or how math tutoring assistance can be given, we wanted to kind of put this panel at the front of the meeting so you can kind of get that time to get those questions answered for your preparation for the summer. We're definitely doing summer tutoring as well, so we'll be able to hear from the Learning Center when the sign-up process for that begins, just as we conclude the panel. But definitely wanting to use this time for you guys to kind of do just a share out. So I had asked the Learning Center panel just to kind of start with some of these questions here that have come up in our individual conversations this semester. And I just wanted to kind of have them share the light on some of the techniques that they do with students with regard to these forefront questions. And then we'll switch it up and have some of the academic success students kind of share out their best practices, and then we'll go forward, okay? So I'll pass on the lead to the Learning Center, and just maybe checking in with us on the first question on how do you guys help students with various testing formats like multiple choice, essay questions, short answers, open book. You know, maybe which ones you've seen most that students come into tutoring to kind of get assistance with, especially now that it's like finals week and things like that.
So I'll start with answering the question between what's the difference between the content tutor. Can you guys hear me? The content tutor and writing tutor. And then I'll let Jillian and Janet speak more about, so content and English is more of the process. So I'll speak about that. And I'll let Jillian and Janet speak more about the content of tutoring. So when you're actually in a session, I think it's best to hear from a tutor that you would be sitting with. So the difference between an English writing tutor and a content tutor is that the focus with writing is just as it sounds, writing. We're focusing on making sure that you understand how you express your ideas, and understand that each one of us really have a writing style, and each one of us have our unique writing patterns and errors. So you make these mistakes based on how you write, how you express yourself, your author's voice, whether you believe that you're an author or not. If you're writing something, really you're the narrator. So you're telling how you put your words together, how you express yourself. There could be patterns. There are patterns. And recognizing that each one of us is very different. So when it comes to writing, the focus is on making sure you understand how you write, how you express yourself, and that if there are patterns of errors that you make that are unique to you, for you to understand those. So for example, I'm a person that abuses commas. Like I put them in places that they shouldn't be. And so that's my pattern. And so when I'm writing something, I'm very cognizant of, do I need this comma? Is it absolutely necessary? So when you can do that, you really help yourself in terms of expressing your ideas and how you want to be sound, how you want to others to hear you much more effectively. So when you're working with a writing tutor, the focus is to get you to write well. So there are formal writing and informal writing. So when you're writing formally, so you're writing a paper, anything academic, you're writing a paper, you're writing a letter, you want to make sure you sound clear, that you're putting the rules of grammar in place. So you're not misplacing commas everywhere, comma splices. You're making sure you have clear sentences with subject and verbs are in agreement. So that's formal writing, and there's more to it that I'm simplifying it. But an informal writing, let's say it's poems or something that you're writing an email to your friends or text messages, you want to make sure you're clear as well. So there is a difference between the types of writings that you do. So when you're working with a writing tutor, they're making sure you understand there's formal and formal. And when you're using both, so a clear understanding of that. And when you're writing academically, that you have to follow these rules and understand how you express yourself, how you put sentences together, how you want to sound, right? So that's the difference. When you work with a content tutor, they're focusing on the subject matter. So dates matter. If you're working with a STEM tutor, they want to make sure you understand how to apply whatever formula, how you understand the subject content. So maybe if you misplace a period here and there, they're not focusing on that. Do you understand whatever principle? Can you explain this complex idea or concept? Can you apply it? Can you use these formulas and solve the problems? So it's very different. But when you're actually in a session with either a content or a writing tutor, the aim is the same, to get you are in the driver's seat and they are supporting you. So you have to actively engage in both process, whether you're learning, how to solve a complex problem in chemistry, or you're writing a research paper for chemistry. You're in the driver's seat, right? And you have to let the tutor know what you think is missing, what you don't understand for both sides, writing and content. And if you do that very well, tutoring should be very effective for you. So I just want to make sure that I explain the two differences, but the overall theme is that you are in the driver's seat. It is your session, and you have to clearly indicate what you hope to accomplish in each tutoring session. So with that in mind, I'll let either Jillian or Janet answer the first question about multiple choice essays and short answers and open book exams.
I think I can answer this question. One of the ways that we help students prepare for their tests is by drilling them with questions in different formats. So many of these questions can be found in your textbooks or in other online resources that we do have at our disposal. Many of our tutors have had many of your professors that from when we attended Kingsborough as students. So we more or less understand and know the general format that some of these tests are going to be in. The questions we ask in your sessions are not to highlight what you don't know. It's to prepare you for questions that you might not be completely prepared for when the test comes. So questioning you in the tutoring session gets you used to the type of questions that you will see on your exams and even in your homework assignments. Not every answer is going to be something you can copy and paste from a book. So we use the different exam formats to get the students used to thinking on their toes and pulling from their memory banks to answer questions, no matter what form they take.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Okay, so one of the things I really wanted to talk about just from the beginning was regard to part of our tutoring policy. So whatever exam you're going to be taking, whatever format it takes, one of the things that we have as our policy is that the tutors do not do the tutees homework, quizzes, paper, take-home exams. So you will say, what do they do? So the aim is to help you to become independent thinkers and learners. So tutoring is for every student. So tutoring helps the student become more confident. And so what we do ask when they do come to the tutoring center is to prepare beforehand, provide anything that you will need assistance with. In terms of, you will send, you can send your homework sheet, but they will not do the problems for you. They will try to create similar problems to assist you, even with your quizzes. So one of the best strategies to study for any exam is to start from day one. Whatever format it takes, you start from the first day of classes. And I do not know if they do that now, but when I went to college, one of the things that they did for us during orientation was have us plan our schedule for the semester, and also they provided the dates and times of our final exam. So we had to plan our schedule and also input our final exam schedule in it. And they taught us how to prepare on a daily basis for your final exam. So the first thing, regardless of what exam you're going to be taking, do not wait for the last minute. Study from day one. Now, it is very important, and I'm going to probably repeat some of the things that Jillian said. Read every question thoroughly. Pay attention to how each question is being phrased. Sometimes when you are taking a multiple choice exam, they may say, which is not the correct answer. Don't look at the answers first. Make sure you solve the problem first, and then, look at it. So it's very important, whatever exam you're going to be taking, solve the problem, then answer the question first. For multiple choice, read each problem carefully, pay attention to its phrase, and compare your answer to the choices. Choose accordingly. Select your answer if it is one of those choices. Now, one of the things I was always taught is be aware of some of the qualifiers. When it says always or never, sometimes, it is possible they could be the correct answer, but most of the time it's not. So do not, fall for those things as well. But one of the most important thing in anything that you do is always be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. One can never be too prepared for any exam. And also, when you study, you try to have confidence. Do not second guess yourself unless you're completely unsure. Then you can, said, okay, let me take an educated guess and look at all the choices. Eliminate any of the impossible choices first when you take a multiple choice exam. But always be confident in your facts. When it's a fill in the blank, again, in order to do a fill in the blank, what does that mean? It means that you have to know all the things that preceded the blank and all the things that comes after the blank, exactly. And so again, in doing any kind of quiz or exam, the most important thing that I would tell any student is always be prepared. Practice, practice, practice. Do not walk in to any tutoring session though, saying I don't know anything. Be very specific. If you're taking, say I'm taking R22, I don't understand anything. My professor covered abstract expressionism. That's a better thing to say than to say I don't know anything or I don't understand anything. If you're taking a bio course, you will say, I need help with the life cycle of a food supply, instead of saying, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So the main thing I would say to the students is have a positive mindset. Whenever you go to tutoring, have an open mind. And from day one, take every tutoring session as a preparation for your exams. You're going to be taking maybe weekly exam, you're going to be taking a midterm exam, you will be taking a final exam. Every tutoring session is a preparation for all those exams. And so whatever format it takes, if you are prepared, you will be able to handle it.
What should the student bring to a tutoring session? I think we've answered the first two.
Yes.
Okay, so Jillian, do you want to take that as a tutor?
Yes, this is a great question. To be prepared for a tutoring session, you need your textbook, whatever notes you've taken from class or that your professor has given you, and your questions. You should also have your Blackboard logged into and turned to the class for which you are receiving tutoring. Think of it this way. You should come to prepare for a tutoring session the same way you would for your actual class. The sessions are only 1 hour. If you have one session, they're only 1 hour each. And I stress this to my students on a weekly basis. We do not have time for you to go looking for the topic you're on this week. Part of taking responsibility for your academic health is being aware of and keeping track of what is going on in your class. The faster we can get straight to the core of what's confusing you, the more time we can spend on it. It would also be very helpful if you either wrote out your questions and then we can go through the list, or if you flag that part of your notes down so that you know exactly where to get started.
Also, if you have a paper or an assignment, and you can also email that to your tutor in advance, because you're going to get a confirmation also with a Zoom link. So with that, you can respond and email whatever draft or assignment that you have. That way the tutor would have a chance to look at it.
Yes,
And
that's very helpful.
Right. And so when you're in the meeting, it's very productive because the pre-work has been done already. So you can ask questions, your tutor would have some time to look at your paper or assignment, so it can be a more insightful conversation. So do you help students to utilize tutor.com and KLC tutoring sessions? No. So what we do is we refer students to tutor.com. They are a third-party platform that we recommend because we use them. And so that tutoring is independent. The main difference between the tutoring that we offer at KLC and tutor.com is that with KLC, it's a local tutor. So peer tutors or professional tutors that we train ourselves. And with the peer tutors, they are former KCC students. So they are familiar with the mannerism of your professors or your instructors. So it can be much more customized. They can give you some insider tips as former KCC students or CUNY students. So it's more customized. So I tell students, if you feel more comfortable with if you're not comfortable at all, if it's your first time trying tutoring, use a KLC tutor because it will acclimate you to working with someone else. Now with the tutor.com, they're professionals as well and they are certified, but they're national. So you may be working with someone who lives in a different state, but they are, again, trained professionals. They can provide you with the same support, just not as customized. The bonus is that it's 24/7. So let's say we have a time that we have to close. So we close at 7:30 most days, Monday through Thursday. But if you're available at 9 p.m. or at 2 a.m. is when you study best, you can meet with a national tutor and they will work with you. It's mostly chat-based. It's not as, to me, it's not as personalized as I like it to be, but you get the same quality of service. So we don't, but we recommend them, and they have other great tools and resources, and it's a supplement also to what we offer. So you can completely use one of our services, or come to our workshops, or use our tutoring, local tutoring, and then supplement that with tutor.com if you need additional support, or if maybe our times aren't working for you. You can definitely get a referral and work with a tutor from tutor.com. But I would say try both of them, because there are courses that you may want someone who took the class before, who understand, what are the requirements, who understand that particular professor. But there are other classes, more of the general prerequisite courses that are general. You can work with someone who has not taken that specific course, right? But understands the subject. So I would say utilize both of them. We recommend that you use both of them, especially in this online environment. And we want you to actually get the services. If it's not from us exclusively, we want you to have this other option to use tutoring. So I hope that I answered that question. That we don't work with them directly, but we do. They are a part of our program, but we don't know each individual tutor.
Also that if they're taking their course on Blackboard, there should be a button inside Blackboard for tutor.com most of the professors will request that the button is turned on, so therefore the students are able to sign up. If it is not on, they can just send an email to KLC and request having an account for tutor.com.
So if you have a ASAP SD or seminar course, tutor.com is already built in the black menu on Blackboard. So it says tutor.com in the black menu. If you're not able to find it, we have done a video for you guys to let you know to go to tools in your Blackboard, tools in any of your Blackboard classes, and tutor.com will be listed there as well. If you don't see it in the tools, then you're going to go to the step that Ms. Jeanette is speaking of to make sure that it's added to your shell. But everyone, that's the second way of finding it. You can get to tutor.com from any class. You don't need to, get through it for, let's say you don't need it for a history class, but you need it for English. You can still get access, through tutor.com from any of the courses, and then, choose the topic that you need.
Alternatively, you can send us an email and we will send you a direct referral where you can just click on the link and you will have access. If it's sent through KLC, you have 8 hours a month. But if it's already in your shell, Bernadette, I don't think there's a time constraint or a time limit, right?
If it's through your Blackboard shell, you have, it's 9 hours. I'm so sorry, 8 hours. Woo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
8 hours.
8 hours?
I think it's 8, right?
Yes.
And as of the 1st, it replenishes, right?
Yeah.
And so you have the two options. You can do the quick connect, where you can choose a topic, a course subject, and then a subtopic. So for example, history, and then you can choose, American civilization, or, world cultures, history, whichever the types of histories you have, they have a sub listing. And then you can do a quick question to a tutor using the front page of it. And then you would just choose chat and voice, which we're suggesting. And then you would hit connect, and a live tutor would come on, and you would just need to be prepared with your question. So that's why Ms. Maudlin, mentioned that it's not as warm and friendly like we have the Zoom with KLC, but you do get the opportunity to do the live chat, the live voice with the chat, so that you still can kind of streamline and be productive with that format without the Zoom for tutor.com. You also can actually schedule a consistent meeting with the tutor.com tutors. So international tutors means that they can be anywhere in the country as a tutor on tutor.com.
All the subjects, nearly, I would say 98%, right, Janet?
Yeah.
We have tutoring for. We may not have a tutor who has taken that course or comfortable with that course specifically, but close enough that they've taken something close to it that they can help you with. And if we can't, then we refer you to the national platform, and chances are more likely that they have a tutor who specifies in that course. So I would say, try us first. And then if not, if we can't help you, then we'll give you the proper referral. So I think we can move on to the next one. I would throw that to Jillian. Okay. Can tutoring session be adjusted for a student learning style or ability?
Absolutely. So going to tutoring is all about hearing the information again in a way that fits your learning style. Maybe you need to hear it again, but your classmate needs to hear it drawn, needs to see it drawn on the whiteboard, or maybe another student is a social learner and needs to discuss it out loud with others. It does not matter which learning style you subscribe to, we can definitely adjust the lesson to you. This is something that I call the Shakespearean method. The Socratic method is what you're used to experiencing in class, where your instructor presents a topic and then questions you to help you think critically or further understand the topic. This does not work for everyone because it's a little flat and the interaction kind of seesaws from just the instructor to just the student. So tutoring uses the Shakespearean method, where you repeat the same info multiple times in different ways so that it reaches all of the listeners. Shakespeare would repeat the lines in his plays so that everyone in the audience no matter their education level or their social status, will understand the plot. And tutoring is similar because we also repeat the same topics and concepts in the best way as possible for you as an individual.
And I would quickly add to that, that tutoring is the one academic, and it's really because it's supplemental. It's supposed to support your coursework. Well, you can feel free to customize and just kind of test out what's working for you, because you have this, especially when it comes to writing tutoring, it's individual, it's one-on-one. You can, this is the place where you can learn or spend more time trying to figure out what works best for you. So when students tell us, you know, I didn't enjoy my session, I tell them, but you're in the driver's seat. So the session is customized for you. So when you're sitting with a tutor, it's a dynamic, it's a relationship where the tutor is trying to understand how best to help you, what learning styles might be more applicable to you, but it's an educated guess. If they get it wrong, you have to help us figure it out. And that's what we recommend semester-long tutoring, because you get to establish and build that long-term relationship. And at the end, we hope that you have discovered more than, you know, how to pass this class, how to understand this content, but discovered a lot more about how you take in information, your learning style and how you process information. And one of our goals, part of our mission statement, is that if you start with us your very first semester, and we hope to see you every day your first semester, but by your last semester, we don't want to see you at all, because you should have mastered or be more comfortable with your own learning style and figure out how you learn, that you help yourself. So we hope that you put us out of business. So that's how much we care and how much we're invested in you learning and you having this space where there's no judgment. You can share, and it's a low stake environment. So we're not giving you grades. Where your professors, you might have hesitations, you might be, I'm not sure, you might hold reservations if it's an instructor, even though you really shouldn't. But I would understand if you do. But with a tutor, we're not giving you a grade. So you can be completely honest and say, this isn't working for me, I don't understand this. So you can really customize and make sure that you understand moving forward how you learn, how you process information, and what works best for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Only thing I would add to that is, and you do this very early on, like in your first few sessions, right?
Yes.
Because, right, so that you waste no time. Your tutor can adjust your sessions accordingly right away, and then you guys are both, you know, working together throughout that time to just make sure you understand it. Before you leave, if there's something that didn't work, make sure you communicate that as well. Is there, for the Learning Center, is there any feedback that you guys get from students that are helpful in knowing how you can tweak tutoring for students based on their feedback?
Actually, yes, I can speak to that. Where it is better for us if you're very vocal. It is great when you complain to us about what it is that is not working. If you need to hear this for a third time, that is fine. That means that the examples that I'm using are not working and I need to switch. So this would happen a lot, where I would use an example for something, and if the person was much younger than me, they might not have gotten my examples because they were not watching TV when I was 6. They weren't alive. So, you know, if something's not working for you, tell us, let us know, so that we know how to approach things. If anything, you make us better tutors that way, because we can recognize, okay, this person learns in this way, so I can also use that to apply to a different student. That happens to us all the time. So if something is not working, you're not understanding something, you need to hear it again, you need another example, let us know immediately. When we ask you questions the very first session, we're not trying to get into your business, we're not getting personal. We want to know more about you so that we know how to help you. If I know that you're having a hard time understanding the amendments, if I don't already have a document to help you, I can go looking for something that helps you in a way that is specific to you.
The other thing that this ties to is also, so if, when you guys realize that you switch up your technique for a student, do you guys pull other elements like maybe a video, or do you guys suggest videos or other like tools or strategies that students can kind of start to do on their own, so they're more prepared for their next session in their tutoring, you know, for their next session?
Yeah. Yes, those are things that, especially Ms. Maximo already knows that I've already showed her these. Me personally, I have lessons for all of my students. There are different things that I noticed. There's a pattern that there are certain things like independent versus dependent variables that trip students up. I will do an entire 6-page lesson for you, catered specifically to you.
Wow.
Okay.
So that color coded if I have to, so that you understand it. Because I know when I was in class and the first time I heard this, I did not know what my professor was saying. So I understand being a student. I was not a student that long ago. I'm still a student. I know what it's like to have my professor say to me A, B, and C. And I'm like, so 1, 2, and 3. I have no idea what you just said. So yes, we do that. Definitely, if we don't already have that resource, we will make it. The point is for you to understand this information. That is our job, and we will not rest until you understand this information.
In the online environment, I've seen tutors just pull up like a YouTube video, like let's watch this together because I want you to understand this. I saw this last time and it helped my student, and so I want you to watch it. One last thing I'll say is that if you are in any writing sessions, at the end, the tutor gives you sort of an impression of what you need to work on next. So let's say if you're working with a writing tutor and the focus was, sentence choices, right? Making sure your words, you're intentional about which words, the word order, you have a clear verb and you conjugate it. So the next session, he wants to build on, what you've already learned. So they might recommend that when you come back again, because we want you to stay, we want you to remain, long-term students, because we don't want to see you at the end, right? At the end, we don't want to see you, but at the very beginning, we want to see you every day. We want to see you grow and actually meet the milestone. So he or she might have recommendations, like we reviewed this on this day, but the next time you come, whether you work with me or not, I would like you to continue this, or I would like you to maybe tackle irregular verbs, right? So it's something I build on to what you've learned before. That way you can make the connections, or if the connections aren't clear, you can go back and say, hey, I think I'm missing something. And that way you can start identifying the gaps and what's missing for you. So one of the things that we like from students is that when we have the surveys, we send out surveys. By the way, if you want a tutoring session, you've got a survey, please complete it, because we do look at it, we read your comments and we apply them. Is that, yeah, I really like the feedback that I got from my writing tutor on a weekly basis. It's really helpful. It helped me to focus more on my writing. It gave me the more directions on what to look for next. So your feedbacks are really helpful. And every end of the semester, we send them out and we look forward to just, seeing how effective, how can we take in your critical feedback and opinions and apply them to the next semester. So we do read your feedbacks and we do try to apply them, as many of them as possible. Even the negative ones, we read them.
Are students given note-taking and study strategy in tutoring sessions? Meaning if they're having a hard time understanding how to take notes, and this conversation I've had a lot this week, where students are like, I have to go back to my notes and study, and they're like, my notes are everywhere. Is there help for that? Any suggestions, KLC, on how this is can be addressed in a tutoring session, or is this something separate that they could work with, with their advisor and kind of build on? What would you suggest?
So one of the things that we do ask is that they bring their notes to the tutoring session. So it helps us to identify, first of all, when we look at the way they write, it tells us a lot of things about it. So we try to decipher their notes, for one thing, to help to identify what it is that they fully understand when they are taking the notes. And sometimes you're able to see that the gaps, the things that they omit, or sometimes they just take too many notes and it becomes so overwhelming. So one of the things that we try to do in the tutoring session is try to decipher their notes. So it's very, very important that they bring their notes to the tutoring session. It's very important. Jillian?
So yes, we do give you study strategies and note-taking tips. Study strategies are a big part of tutoring because you cannot study the same way for each class. Our history, for example, is not just about learning the characteristics of each art period, it's also about learning to recognize certain pieces and certain artists. So a good portion of learning the pieces is memorization. But if you're in a criminal justice class, you have to learn the order of the court system and which type of jurisdiction applies to which case, because the type of case you bring to a court depends on the details and whether or not it's federal or state. So tutoring does help you recognize the different structures of the different classes and to make a plan for the best way to approach each class based on your learning style. And the same thing goes for notes. I've noticed that a big problem with some of my students is their note taking. Some students take notes on everything and some don't take notes at all. And neither of these is very effective. So bringing your notes to the tutoring session is very helpful. When we were in person, it was so much easier because that was one of the things that I would do with them, where I would say, okay, give me your notes. Let's see where we lost you with the notes. And so when they give me, several papers that have other classes, I'm like, okay, then the first thing we're going to do is rewrite these notes because that's where you lost. That's where you got lost the first time. It's harder to do that online. I see a few of my students here. I don't know if there are any students here from when we were in person, but they will tell you, I will chase you down the hall. Let's see those notes because that is the first place you need to start. So if you have a hard time with note taking, that might be one of the first things you need to do to speak to your tutor about. How do I take notes for this particular class? That is a major part of studying, rewriting your notes, understanding your own notes. Sometimes the way the professors write their notes on their PowerPoints or on the board is not very effective for you.
Mhm.
That's part of knowing your learning style. If you know you're a visual learner and you need to draw things out on the side, then draw things out on the side. If you are a tactile learner, a physical learner, and you need to do things with your hands in order for you to understand things, then you need to take notes that speaks to that. If you're a social learner, I had students that what they would do, they were all in the same class. I suggested that they have a Google Doc that they all had access to.
Mm.
So they would take notes and supplement each other's notes. That's how they were able to have a study session. So you need to know what your learning style is and how to take notes according to that. So the answer to that is most definitely yes.
I'd like to quickly add that we are an interactive learning center. So recognizing that some of our practices had to shift a bit to meet student needs. So we're offering these workshops very soon, maybe at the start of the fall semester. And we always offer an overview during orientation time of note-taking, effective listening, and studying tips. So if you guys are interested, let us know so we can put them, we offer them at the beginning of the semester, but we can pretty much offer it throughout the semester, these workshops, and they're supplemental, usually like a ratio of 1 to 10, 1 to 4 sometimes. And so it's just to teach you how to do these things. And it's the same tutor, so it could be Jillian or a writing tutor, just helping you to have a good semester. We used to call it the right direction. So at the very beginning of the semester, we would just have these creative workshops, whether it's just effective note-taking, how to study, and what was the other one? Effective listening skills. Just so you can either have a review if you already know how to take notes, or if it's your first time, or if you didn't know. One of the workshops that we did and we found very helpful was how to study using a textbook. And like there's a process to that. There's a way to do it that's different from looking at a review book or a magazine or a newspaper. A textbook is very different. So we didn't realize that was something until students mentioned it to us. So if there are other workshops and there are other ways that we can support you, please, as we're planning the new semester, the fall semester preferably, let us know. The summer, we can still, look at what we can do, but definitely if we can do it in the summer, we'll definitely do it. Look to put in whatever workshop or whatever support that you need for the fall semester.
Yes. So I know that the KLC has a special situation with sign up. Like if you miss a couple, you have to re-sign up, right? So you want to make sure that you're going to 3 consecutive, right? Because if you miss the 3rd one, you have to re-sign up. Is that right?
If you miss 2 consecutive sessions in a row, so you didn't email in advance, it's not an excuse absent, then you get a notification that your session will be dropped.
Okay.
And you can sign up again.